Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Lord, give me the strength. That's all I need. But I'm here with my friend, Danielle Anatra. Well, the chair doesn't work. Oh, Lord. How are you, Danielle?
I'm doing better than you today.
Oh, yeah.
Look at you.
I got my hands on a lot of different things here, and you have to see this. The other day, I was talking to somebody in this chair. I was sitting there listening to them, and all of a sudden, it gave out, and it's like I almost fell over live on the air, and that was make some kind of blooper reel. But
I would have laughed extremely hard.
I know you would have. I know you would. Well, yeah, I tried to play it off like I was like, oh, it didn't happen.
You have to laugh at yourself, though. I find like you just have to laugh at yourself. I do stupid things all the time. I was walking up the steps to my office the other day, and God forbid I spilled my coffee, right? But I almost like broke my body. I was walking up, and I'm like, I landed on both knees, and I hurt my knee so bad, but I saved my coffee. But I was so impressed with my skill that I didn't feel it. But my knee still hurts.
Oh no. Well, at least you got the spirits, telling you beforehand, how you could have avoided that maybe if you thought about it.
I think I missed that last memo, but I should have been paying attention a little better.
Right. Well, Danielle, so that leads me to maybe telling the audience, what you do and who you're helping out, and you're just about to get on a plane, to go to the other office. Yep. You got a very busy schedule ahead of you. First of all, tell me what you do.
Okay, so I'm a medium. I connect with people who crossed over. I give intuitive guidance, psychic readings. I mentor people in spiritual development, psychic development, mediumship development, things like that. Okay. So I travel the country a lot. That stuff's not always on my website, but a lot of times people ask if they could host me, and they set up readings for me for the week or the weekend or whatever it is, or I do like different programs or group readings in different venues, and I do stuff like that when people call and they say like they have an event or they want to do something, and I kind of book like that accordingly. So we were just in Tennessee for a retreat a few weeks ago. I was in Atlanta about 2 weekends ago, and I've been in New York since last Wednesday. And right after this, I'm hopping on a plane. So, but I'm at my grandma's house right now, which is pretty cool that I get to see them. So,
oh, that's good. That's good. What was the retreat like in Tennessee? What was that about?
Oh, it was great. It was just a spiritual retreat where, different people volunteer and, do different courses and teach you about different things like healing. We had a mediumship course, a lot of like personal development things and meditation and spiritual lectures and all of that. So it's just a whole week or an extended weekend of learning and things like that. And you meet people from all over the country. Some are out of the country, and we get together once a year, and it's awesome. So
cool. And so with your profession and your gift and your skill, is that something you have to do a lot to keep it sharp with the intuition and being able to talk to the people that have crossed over, or tell people?
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's a natural gift, but it's something that you need to work on and develop to get better at it. Just like any profession, you could automatically be good at something, but you want to practice it. Like, you could automatically be good at like drawing and sketching, but if you learn different techniques and different, you could be so much better at it. Mm-hmm. So it's just about honing in on your skill. You could be good at basketball, but unless you practice, that's how you're great at it.
Right.
So that's all it is. It's just kind of fine tuning what's already good and it's already there.
Keeps you sharp and on top. And then I guess meeting people, maybe you pick up a different technique too. I understand. Okay.
Right. Yeah, you definitely, and you could learn a lot from, watching other people work, like getting different kinds of frames of reference and things like that. So I learned so much from watching other people work, and just from teaching and mentoring. That's where I feel like I grew the most, was learning with my students. I learned just as much as they do, just differently. when I'm, when I'm working with them. So
Yeah,
it's
that was
awesome.
interesting when you were telling us about some of the exercises that you do with your students. That
They're fun.
was really
Yeah.
neat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good. So people should check that out. I think that was 1 week ago. But um, you wanted to tell us a little bit today about something about the signs. Um, Let me have you introduce the topic because I wasn't quite sure.
Okay, sure. Well, we always talk so much about the signs that we receive from those people in spirit. Like people always say, "Oh, I always connect my mom to butterflies," or I do this just like when something like that comes into your presence, you always associate it with a loved one in spirit. Like we have, there, like I said, the butterflies. We have coins, angel numbers, initials. People see ladybugs, sunflowers, feathers. Specific like smells and scents, or birds. Like a lot of people are like the blue jays, the cardinals look like they threw up in my grandma's house. Like every room is cardinals. If I had time, I'd give you a tour, but it's just like every room is cardinals. But so you have these signs that we connect to our loved ones all the time. But what we kind of graze over sometimes, my are the signs that we receive of guidance and assurance from just for ourselves that we have to be conscious of to notice. So not necessarily always from someone in spirit, but sometimes, your angels or whatever higher power you believe in are, delivering signs to let you know that, I saw this and it made me realize I was going in the right direction. Or, you see the sign and you just like, I know everything's going to be okay because I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my gut. We all get those feelings, right? And my family's kind of going through a little bit of a challenging time right now, which is why I've been booking so many work trips to New York recently, like more so than usual. So I'm at my grandparents' house and we're all sitting around the table and we're talking, just reminiscing about the past and all the miracles that we received in our lives, and how blessed and like grateful we are for all of the experiences that the world, like in the world that we've seen, and we've been very fortunate. And a story that I wanted to share that, we were talking about, this is a personal story of mine. I wasn't born yet. My uncle is about, I think he's exactly 10 years older than me. When he was 7 years old, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and he had a very rare cancer, and he had a 12-pound tumor in his stomach. And I think he was actually in the Guinness Book of World Records, like when, for that age, for
Wow.
his age group, for like that size tumor. I don't know if he still holds that record, and I'm not sure because it was a long time ago. He's probably 47 now.
Okay.
Um, so anyway, telling that part of the story first, when he was younger, before they knew about the tumor, my grandmother, like I said in like recent episodes of the show, she's very, very religious. They would go to church every Sunday. Oh, the sun just decided to fly in here. Sorry. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, so they used to go to church every single Sunday. And, he used to say to my grandmother, Tom, because in his mind's eye, he was seeing doves. And he kept saying to my grandmother, "Do you see the doves? Do you see the doves?" And my grandma would be like, "Michael, would you stop? Pay attention, like blah, 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 stop." And then one day he said to her, he's like, "Mom," she's like, "there's no doves here." And he's like, "Mom, if you look with your heart and not your eyes, you'll see it." He
The kid
said to
said
her.
that.
The kid said that. He was 7 years old, maybe.
Wow.
And so he kept telling his mom, and then like a few days followed that, and for like days and days he kept saying, "Mom," he kept saying that he sees Jesus outside and it's snowing, and that Jesus keeps telling him that everything's going to be okay. So my grandmother's like, "All right, Michael, whatever," like she's kind of dismissing it.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, he said that on multiple occasions. Shortly after all of this, and I'm leaving out a ton of stuff in between, but shortly after all of this, they found the tumor in his stomach. So they didn't even know he had it yet. So they found this tumor in his stomach. They weren't, they were so like, crazy with everything that they didn't even connect any dots yet. So now he needed to have surgery, where the doctor said that he had less than a 1% chance of surviving the
Oh,
surgery because of how the tumor was, how big it was, his age, like a lot of things. So the day of the surgery, of course, my grandparents are a wreck because they think they're going to lose their son. And what's cool, so this, and like I said before, this is the biggest tumor on record. And the doctor came out of the surgery and he went up to my grandparents and he said, Mr. and Miss whoever, I don't know if you believe in God, he goes, but I didn't do the surgery. So he said that tumor lifted up out of his body and got handed to me. He goes, and I don't know, he goes, I don't know what you believe in. He goes, but he goes, I can't take credit for the surgery, he said. So he ended up surviving the surgery.
Oh my God.
Um, and the it was just like an incredible thing. And then shortly after the surgery, my uncle was recovering, and he went out. He couldn't really do much to risk his stomach, and they got the whole tumor out. And he went on the side of the house one day, and he's sitting there, and what looked like a pigeon came and landed on his shoulder, and it just stayed there, and it stayed with him. It went on his arm. Birds don't do that,
Yeah, right.
you know. And my grandmother's like, all right, let's take, my grandma takes any animal that like comes on her premises. So she's like, okay, let's take it to the pet store and we'll see. So she goes to the pet store. She goes, how this bird looks trained. Like, what can we do with it? And they said, she's like, what do you feed a pigeon? And blah, blah, blah. They said to her, they're like, you don't know your bird. She goes, this is a dove.
Oh my God.
So they ended up having that dove for about 12 years. So my uncle was seeing all the doves at the church. So now
Yeah.
one lands after his surgery, it lands on him. And I left out a big part of the story. On the way to the hospital to get his surgery, it was the biggest snowstorm on record at that time. So he was seeing Jesus on the front thing in the snow. And
That's
now
incredible.
on the day of his surgery, he had all this. It was a huge blizzard the day they had to go to the hospital. So, and then that the sign also told him that he was going to be okay, and he was, even though he had less than a 1% chance of surviving. So, sometimes we just have to, listen to your kids. Like, they're closer to that higher power than anything. They have nothing, no energy around them is tainted,
Mm,
and they just hear everything. And we receive so many signs from spirit every single day that we just ignore. My uncle was
yeah.
telling her about the doves and all this stuff, and she's like, shh, be quiet, I'm trying to listen.
Right. Right.
And but sometimes we have to be the ones that listen, because spirit is always giving us signs. Like, if we're nervous about something or something's coming up that they don't want us to worry about, they're going to give us all these signs, and it's just important to really pay attention to them. You get so many miracles that way. There's so many things that probably have happened to all of us that we didn't even recognize the sign, or we weren't conscious of it.
Yeah, that
So
story is
mm,
unbelievable.
mm.
Wow. My question to you is, how do we know when it's a sign? Because like your grandmother saying, pay attention. Of course, she didn't know that that was a
Yeah.
huge sign. Um, but how would she know?
So my uncle knew. He was the one receiving the sign, and he knew. When you're getting a sign, like when you're the one getting that sign, you're just going to know. You're going to know when you receive that. And sometimes you have to know how to interpret it and what part of it to really take. But, we get things and we question them sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very strong where you won't question it no matter what.
Mm.
But then there's sometimes when it's so strong that, like, if you're skeptical or you're not positive, like, you might question. But it's important not to question when you're receiving guidance. Be open to the fact that something greater than you exists,
But how
you
about like
know.
if we look too much, like right now, I'm going to say it's 1:11, right?
Right.
Uh, I'm going to say that that's the time. No, it's not. But
We'll pretend.
but I was like, I'm looking too hard for stuff like that.
Right.
So that can't be a sign, right? Because I heard somebody set their alarm to 10:10, 11:11 sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not a sign, right?
Mm-mm.
Because you're intentionally
No.
looking way too much into it, or
Right.
trying to find it. Tell me your thoughts on
Right.
that.
Yeah, I believe, some people try to make the signs happen. They try
Yes.
to, they try to force it. That's not the same thing.
Okay.
Like, it's when it happens when you're not expecting it, or when it just comes to you. Those are the true signs. You don't want to try to taint any energy that's coming through, or manipulate the energy just to make yourself, feel good about something. Like, if you want, really ask for a sign. Like ask for something other than the butterflies and the cardinals and stuff like that. You can be specific.
Ask for
Like
something
one
weird.
time, oh yeah, you can ask for something weird. Eventually you'll get it, and you have to be aware that you're not always going to get it the way you want it. Like one time, I had a
Give me an
client that,
example, please. Yeah.
yeah, one time someone asked for a shark. They wanted to see a shark. They weren't near the ocean. They weren't like anything, but they found someone sent them like a picture, or a card or something for like a birthday or anniversary, whatever they had. They got sent a card in the mail and it had a shark on it.
Wow. So
Like,
is that just trying to make sure that the universe or whatever is looking after you to, is that what the sign means? Like if I say I want to see a an apple with a bite out of it on the side of the road or in a parking
well,
lot, am I, if I find that apple, does that mean just someone's looking after me and
yes. And if you don't see that apple, like it might not happen right away,
right?
but it will happen. And then you're going to be like, oh my God,
I remember.
I asked for that. But, like you can't manipulate spirit either. It's like, it's not done for tricks. Like if you feel like like you're really suffering, internally, and you're like, you really need that sign, spirit's going to give it to you. If that's what you need to believe, or that's what you need to have faith or to motivate you, spirit's going to give it to you. If you're just with your friends and you're like, okay, I want this pumpkin and I'm
Yeah.
in the middle of New York, like,
Right, right.
like it's not always. And sometimes I used to ask for a sign and I would get it, and then I would ask for a sign again, and sometimes I would get it again, and then I asked for another sign, and they're like, "All right, enough," like
So
they're not
we can
gonna
bother
give it
the
to you.
universe if we ask too much.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it depends on why you're asking.
If
It's
it's
not if you
if
ask
it's
too
just
much,
like you said, if it's just to goof around and say, hey, look what I can do,
right?
that means
And
nothing.
when I first discovered, I had a lot of things before I knew I was a medium. I had a lot of stuff happening, and I found my first mentor, but before I spoke to her or worked with her, I told my mom and my grandmother what I felt like was, what was going on. And, at first they thought I was a little crazy. And then, my mom, one of my sister's teachers was a medium, and my mom asked her and told her what was going on with me. And she said, my grandmother first said to me, like, if someone will help you for free, that's how you know that, like, whatever, I don't want you paying anyone. And I said, okay, grandma. And then my mom found the teacher and she said, you know what, I'll sit with her for free, she said to my mom. So that was like a confirmation from my grandma.
Yeah.
And I just sat with her for like an hour, and she was explaining to me a little bit about like what was going on and what was happening. And she told me that I was a medium. And I kind of was like, I wasn't so sure. And I wasn't sure if I, believed it myself or not. And she told me, she's like, well, if you don't believe me, she goes, ask for signs, ask for whatever you want, and spirit will give you, will confirm with you. So I went home that night, and I felt really good after leaving her. And I went home that night, and I had my TV on mute, and I was laying in bed, and I don't even know how to ask for things, but for some reason, I closed my eyes like this, and I said, Spirit, I said, if I'm really medium, I said, send me the sign of a rainbow, I said in my head. And I'm thinking maybe tomorrow morning I'll wake up and see a big rainbow or whatever, right? And I take my hand off my face, and there's a rainbow going halfway across my TV as I took my hands off my face.
Wow.
And I said, oh my God. And then I put my hands over my face and I said, okay, Spirit. I said, send me a sign. Like you just asking the same thing. And it was so weird. The thing I asked for, I said, send me a sign of a puppet if I'm really a medium. I take my hands off my face. It was like, remember that show Tosh Point oh?
Yeah, yeah,
I never
yeah.
even really watched it, but that what was on my TV. I remember it's like
Mhm.
11 years ago, and I take my hands off my head, and he had a top 10 list, and they were all real people, but the first one was Beaker from the Muppets,
Wow.
and I was like, oh
So
my
you got
God,
two in a row like that?
two in a row just like that. And then I asked for the sign of a frog, and I had a gecko commercial, and I was like, all right, I get it, I'm annoying you. But it stopped after that, because Spirit was like, all right, enough.
Yeah,
But
that prove it to you enough.
yeah, so, and sometimes you don't always get them immediately like that,
Right.
but you do get signs when you really need them, or you really need to go in a certain direction and you're asking for help. But we can't question everything. If we're asking for it and we get something, we can't question it.
Is it manipulating if I were to ask about, say, I'll go with the apple again, and if I don't get it, maybe a year later. But if I said I wanted to see the apple, and when I see that apple, is that the time I should break up with my girlfriend or something like that? And then a year later, like I'm making it specific. So when I see that
Mhm.
apple, then I get to now I'm doing the right thing by the universe. Does it work that way or not? Or am I manipulating?
That's appropriate depending on what you're asking for. That's appropriate. Like, when you should break up with your girlfriend, I mean, that's kind of free will, and you might be learning certain lessons or doing certain things. And if you're like, you might see the apple right after you broke up with her to
To
confirm.
say I was right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might get it afterwards because spirit's never going to impose on your free will.
What do you
So,
mean by that? Can you say that again?
like, yeah, they can guide you in the right, they can guide you in the right direction, but they can't make you do something. Like like unless you ask them, if you say to them, help guide me in the right direction, or help, do this, they will. Like they'll have plans fall through so that you go another way or that you do something else. So if you are asking spirit to keep you safe and to guide you in the right way, you're asking for help. That's why people always say the power of prayer. It's the power of prayer, it's the power of intention. If you're doing all that and you're asking for it, then they're going to help you. If you're not asking, you're saying, I don't want this or I don't want that, or they're not going to impose on your free will. So if you ask them for help, they will help you.
I see. And
Mhm.
of course, I can just picture what some of my friends would say or something like that.
Mhm.
And of course, it's going to be like, then why don't I ask for money every day? You know. Um,
Yeah, and you know what? And that's the thing too. It's like, what do you want that money for? Like, why do you want it just to have it? That's not a good enough reason. Like,
you got to need it.
if you have a powerful intention, like you want to have an experience that's going to better yourself, or you want to have an experience for, maybe to help somebody, or to just experience something yourself that's going to help your soul grow. Like what's your reason? Why do you want it? You have to be
Most
very
people would just say
specific.
comfort, right? Most people would just say, so my life is easier.
Yeah. But you know what, though, there's other things that can bring you comfort. And sometimes, if you manifest for the greatest good, we want everything for the greatest good. Sometimes if you want, $1 million, if you had $1 million right now because you feel like money is going to fix all the problems you have, sometimes, it does. I mean, a lot of times it doesn't. Like,
Right. You ever see those lottery
you,
stories?
oh yeah, you hear, but I know sometimes, it might fix certain things, but emotionally, it's not going to. If you don't feel deserving of something,
Yeah.
it's not going to help you. You're going to waste all your money trying to fill voids that you have.
I,
But if all those voids are filled already, like you're going to be able to do, better things with it. So if there's a higher outcome somewhere for you, like spirit's going to wait for that time or that purpose. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes too. Like
that.
everything, your energy has to align with everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you want money just to, have money or have like a peace of mind, I guarantee you, if you need a peace of mind, money is not the only thing that, it
Right.
might be the biggest issue that you feel like you're having, but it's not the only thing that's, going on. That's not the only void that you have within you.
What if someone said, I want to see the sign of getting $1 million, and when I see the $1 million, I'm going to give it to this homeless person I see every day on the street. Um,
Mm-hmm.
or even by asking these questions, is that manipulation? Because I don't need that. It would be nice if I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But by asking these
Um,
questions, is it manipulation? Or
it's not,
it's a good
it's
thought,
not,
it's a good intention.
yeah, no, it's a good thought and it's a good intention. But if you're manifesting it for someone else too, it's like, where are they at? Is that going to, significantly do something for
Uh,
them? Like, you're not
like I know
manifesting.
best. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see what you
so there's always so much of a bigger picture, and I feel like case by case,
yeah.
it's different. Like some people, I know people who won, the lotto, that completely, they thought all they needed was money. They completely blew it
Miserable, right?
on, and they're even more miserable now because they had it and now they don't, and they feel even worse about themselves. So, I think it really goes on like a case by case,
Yeah.
like, like how, like what you're manifesting and how, like where you're at, where you can receive it and what you would do with it. I think it just really goes like with each person, like how, what they're trying to do.
But I like if someone's really searching, like you said, if I got it correct, you can
Mhm.
ask for a sign that's somewhat weird. You might not get it right
Yeah.
away, but
Right.
you definitely know that that's somebody's looking at, or
Oh
the
yeah.
universe looking at, you'll definitely know. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
okay to do, you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. You could ask for something that's not a cardinal or not. You could ask for a heart. You could ask for, a flamingo or, like something crazy. You might get it. You might get it in a picture. You might get it on, like a greeting card. Like I had my client had. There's so many different ways that you can get it. You might see it in the clouds. Like you might see the shape undeniably in the clouds. There's so many different ways that we could receive signs instead of just like the physical thing maybe you're thinking of.
But
People
is it?
ask for snakes.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh,
I would never do
I
that,
wouldn't do that either. But
but
would that almost be a trigger to fall into that thing we talked about before, where we're looking too much? Like if I look up into the clouds and I want to see an apple, I guarantee I could find one that looks like an apple. Is that it's trying
it
too
won't
hard,
feel
right?
forced.
But
It
you
won't
said
feel.
you'll know.
You'll know. It won't feel forced, and you're
Got
gonna
it.
see it when you're least expecting it. It's not gonna feel forced to you. Like if you're looking for it, then you're forcing it,
Got it.
and it doesn't count.
Okay, great. No, that's
you
it's
know.
great information because people want to know these
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah.
but before we end here, the last thing is, when you keep seeing the angel numbers when you're not looking for them,
Mhm.
that basically means that the universe is just telling you that they're around and there's something bigger. Is that kind of the
It can mean different
overall?
things. It can mean different things. I mean, you can Google like every angel number there is, and you could, and they might resonate with you, like what it says.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like if you think of, your dad in spirit every time you see 1111, then that's just for
Well,
you.
is
You
he
set
here?
that intention. He's always there. But no, for you, it's you're setting that intention that that's my dad showing me that he's
Got
around,
it.
he's
Okay.
bringing my attention to it. But some people 1111 might mean like they're going in the right direction. Like they might feel like, all right, give me a sign that I'm going in the right direction, and they might see 1111 as a sign, and now they see it all the time. So every time they're making a decision, if they're making the right decision, they might see 1111. My husband used to see, I forget what number he saw when he was doing the right thing, but if he should stop immediately what he's doing, he used to see 911. He used to see like that number all the time if he needed to like stop in his tracks and like kind of rethink whatever decision it was that he just
Uh,
made. But we set these intentions for ourselves.
yeah. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that's great information. A great show today, Danielle Anatra. Anything you want to let us know, and have a safe trip. And
Oh, thank you.
say hi to grandma for me.
I
But
will.
let me give you the last
I
word.
will.
Anything you want to tell
All
us?
right. So everyone can reach me on my website, danielleanatra.com, and to keep a lookout because I'm going to be having a lot of giveaways and a lot of events that are going to be coming up. Things like discounts for the holidays, and I have a lot of things that are going to be posted within the next few weeks. New things happening. So frequently like stop by my website and see what I have going on.
All right. Awesome. Well, always a pleasure with you, and especially a great one today. Learned a lot. I'm sure everyone else did. So thank you so much. And
Awesome.
you're going to be late for that plane. So
Thank
don't be
you.
late for that plane. All right.
I won't.
Danielle Nacha, everybody. See you
Have a
soon.
good night.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.